There's only one way Fast and Furious 11 can live up to Vin Diesel's promise and go back to the franchise's roots. After the franchise continued to shift its focus from racing to high-stakes action, Vin Diesel promised Fast and Furious 11 would return to the series' roots, but only one scene can truly make this happen. Fast and Furious may be known for its ridiculous stunts and over-the-top action sequences these days, but it didn't always look like that. When the saga first started, there was a much bigger emphasis on illegal racing and the culture that comes with it, but audiences ultimately became more interested in the franchise's blockbuster elements, as evidenced by its box office growth over the years. Some fans may be nostalgic for Fast and Furious earlier days, but there's no denying that the modern films have a bigger mainstream appeal. Despite this, Vin Diesel wants F and F11 to return to its roots, suggesting some of the early traits that made the movie series so popular in the first place could return. However, with cars jumping from skyscrapers and characters showing strength beyond human limitations, it could be hard to completely reset, especially given the story's current direction. Therefore, there is only one real way of implementing the franchise's original premise without hurting the ongoing narrative. Fast and Furious 11 must have at least one high-stakes street race. If Fast and Furious really wants to go back to its roots, it has to have a meaningful street race with a lot at stake. While recent films have still featured street races, they've mainly been filler and almost a homage to the earlier movies, rather than having any real jeopardy involved. Fast X did kill off Diogo in its only driving contest, but he wasn't a particularly important character, and his death was mainly used to build up Dante as the central villain, meaning Fast and Furious 11 would have to go bigger to feel truly nostalgic. Having something significant on the line like Dom's freedom or the chance to save a loved one would make a race between the protagonist and Dante feel more interesting. Having something significant on the line like Dom's freedom or the chance to save a loved one would make a race between the protagonist and Dante feel more interesting. It would also be better if it was one-on-one to avoid the same sort of shenanigans that Fast X pulled. With Fast and Furious 11 being the final movie in the franchise, there is a realistic chance of Dom losing, and having the result actually matter alongside there being a tangible risk within the race would be the perfect way of blending the old and new elements of the franchise. Fast and Furious 11 having more than one street race would be a welcome surprise. In addition to having a final high-stakes street race, it would be an even greater surprise if Fast and Furious 11 featured more than one throughout the film. Dom and Dante's showdown seems inevitable, and settling their differences in cars would be more meaningful than through fists or guns. However, allowing other characters like Letty, Han, Giselle, and Roman to compete in their own consequential races would give them proper send-offs. Sadly, the more modern movies usually only contain one or two street races, and often they're just for fun or a reminder to show off the driver's skills. Fast 5 didn't even feature any form of street racing, proving how enjoyable it would be to see them brought back in abundance for the final outing. Naturally, not every character can have their own individual contest, but having Ramsey and Tej help Roman navigate a tricky course would be a great way to get them involved, while Hobbs and Shaw can stick to action-focused scenes since racing isn't as integral to their characters. As a result, Fast and Furious 11, including multiple races, would make it feel different to recent films and give the franchise a fitting conclusion.